Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was Russian disinformation, and the FBI knew it wasn't, and a Department of Justice that refuses to investigate egregious acts of voting irregularities and fraud. And we have a man who is the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now casually talking about nuclear war with Russia, which would be World War III and far more devastating than any of the previous world wars because of the weaponry that no one can ever even imagine or think about. It is so powerful. We are a nation that no longer has a free press. Fake news is all you get, and they are indeed the enemy of the people. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant and out of control, like never before, and where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it has taken from us to build a military to rival our own. And just 2 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. They weren't going to do a thing against us, and everyone knows it. They respected us more than they ever respected us. And perhaps most importantly, we're a nation that no longer is respected or listened to anywhere around the world. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. We are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, and faith. And we are a nation whose economy is collapsing into a cesspool of ruin, whose supply chain is broken, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the very bottom of every single list. We are a nation where large packs of sadistic criminals and thieves are allowed to go into stores and openly rob them, beat up the workers, and kill the customers, leave with armloads of goods, but with no retribution, where the authority of our great police has been taken, where their families and pensions have been threatened, and their lives would be destroyed for the mere mention of the words law enforcement. We are a nation where the people are allowed to murder, kill, rob, and rape innocent victims, and they have no cash bail, and they're back on the streets, allowed to do it again in a matter of hours. We are a nation where fentanyl and all other forms of illegal drugs are easier to get than formula for our beautiful little babies. A nation whose once revered airports are dirty, crowded, a mess, an unsightly, horrible mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave and they have no idea when it will. Where ticket prices have tripled, they don't have the pilots to fly the planes, they don't seek qualified air traffic controllers, and they just don't know what the hell they're doing. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and its strength. And we are a nation that has just plain lost its way. But we are a nation that is not going to allow this horror to continue. 2 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will be a great nation again. But not to detract from tomorrow's very important, even critical election. And I would say, in the strongest way, it's a country-saving election, specifically including the election of all the people that I'm going to name. I'm going to be making a very big announcement on Tuesday, November 15th at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. We want nothing to detract from the importance of tomorrow. You understand that, JD? So I'm going to go over a list of people, and I think you'll find it really inspiring, because they're very inspiring people. So we must first elect J.D. Vance for the Senate in Ohio, Mike DeWine for governor in Ohio, Dr. Oz for Senate in Pennsylvania, Doug Mastriano for governor in Pennsylvania, Blake Masters for Senate in Arizona, Carrie Lake for governor in Arizona. A great guy who I've known for a long time. He fought with Jim Jordan and all the rest on the fake impeachments. Lee Zeldin for governor in New York. He's doing great. One of the greatest athletes you'll ever meet, Herschel Walker for Senate in Georgia. And Brian Kemp for governor in Georgia. Adam Laxalt for Senate in Nevada, and Joe Lombardo for governor in Nevada. Marco Rubio for Senate in Florida, and Ron DeSantis for governor in Florida. Tudor Dixon for governor in Michigan, and Ron Johnson for Senate in Wisconsin. Tim Michaels for governor in Wisconsin. Chuck Grassley for Senate in Iowa. And Kim Reynolds for governor in Iowa. Katie Britt for Senate in Alabama. Kelly Tshibaka for Senate in Alaska. Mike Dunleavy for governor in Alaska. John Bozeman for Senate in Arkansas. Sarah Sanders, did you ever hear of her? She's great. For governor in Arkansas. Leora Levy for Senate in Connecticut. Mike Crapo for Senate in Idaho. Jerry Moran for Senate in Kansas. Derek Schmidt for governor in Kansas. Rand Paul for Senate in Kentucky. John Kennedy for Senate in Louisiana. Eric Schmidt for Senator in Missouri. Ted Budd for Senate in North Carolina. John Hoeven for Senate in North Dakota. James Lankford for Senate in Oklahoma. Mark Wayne Mullen, who's a great guy, great future, for Senate in Oklahoma. Kevin Stitt for governor in Oklahoma. Tim Scott, another great, great guy, for Senate in South Carolina. Henry McMaster doing an unbelievable job for governor in South Carolina. Mike Lee for Senate in Utah. Gerald Malloy for Senate in Vermont. Darren Bailey, he's doing great, for governor in Illinois, and Illinois has to defeat Pritzker. Darren's going to do it. Dan Cox for governor in Maryland. Jeff Deal for governor in Massachusetts. Scott Jensen for governor in Minnesota. Mark Ronchetti for governor of New Mexico. Kristi Noem for governor of South Dakota. Bill Lee for governor in Tennessee. Greg Abbott for governor in Texas. All of our wonderful attorney general candidates, Abe Hamadeh in Arizona, Tim Griffin in Arkansas, Ashley Moody in Florida, Brenna Byrd in Iowa, Matt DePerno in Michigan, Sigal Chattah in Nevada, Michael Henry, who's doing incredibly well in New York, Dave Yost in Ohio, Alan Wilson in South Carolina, and Ken Paxton